You can't come to Thanksgiving until you apologize. My parents told me after I refused to co-sign my sister's $26,000 car loan. She said, "Surprise, it's time you heard this. You were adopted." I smiled back, surprise accepted. That night, Grandpa didn't say a word. He just handed me a small envelope, and then, "My name's Evan. I'm 31, the oldest, the one who fixes the Wi-Fi, files everyone's taxes, remembers birthdays, and shows up early to carry folding tables out of Dad's truck. I rent a small apartment, drive a paid-off Corolla, and work as a systems analyst. No drama, no debt, no favors owed. At least that's who I was before my family decided I was also their walking credit score. Sunday night, Mom called a quick meeting at the house to plan Thanksgiving. The dining room smelled like cinnamon candles and lemon cleaner. Football hum in the living room, muted. My sister, Jenna, sat at the far end with a glossy brochure face down like it was a secret everyone already knew. "Let's start with a reminder," Dad said, drumming his fingers on the table like a judge about to read a sentence. "Respect in this family isn't optional." I didn't know I'd need armor to discuss stuffing. Mom folded her hands. "You can't come to Thanksgiving until you apologize," she said, crisp like a script. "You embarrassed your sister." I blinked. "For what?" Jenna flipped the brochure over. A brand new crossover, MSRP in big friendly numbers. $26,000. "All I needed was a cosign," she said. "You made it weird at the dealership." I said no. I said, "That's not weird. That's a sentence." Dad's jaw tightened. "Family helps family. Family doesn't take someone's signature like it's a party favor," I said. Chair scraped. Tension, like a cord pulled tight. I felt that old heat in my face, the one from every time I'd been cast as the ungrateful one for not volunteering my wallet. Jenna looked at me, all sugar. "Since you won't step up, surprise, it's time you heard this. You were adopted." The room went very still. Mom avoided my eyes. Dad stared through me. Jenna watched for impact like a kid waiting for fireworks. I waited for the punch to land. It didn't. "Surprise accepted," I said, and it came out calmer than I felt. "Okay." Jenna's smile twitched. "That's it. No meltdown. I have one later scheduled," I said. "Right after laundry." Mom sighed like I had personally ruined the casserole. "Evan, show some respect. We didn't want to tell you this way, but you forced our hand. You owe this family. I owe you an apology for not co-signing," I said. "Got it." Dad leaned back. "So it's decided. Until you apologize, you stay home on Thanksgiving." The clock over the stove ticked too loud. In the living room, the muted game replayed something in slow motion, a player missing a catch he'd never had. Nobody noticed Grandpa slide in from the hallway. He didn't say a word. His cardigan hung loose on his shoulders, eyes steady on me. He pressed a small, worn envelope into my palm and closed my fingers around it. Then he patted my hand once, like a period on a sentence, and shuffled back down the hall. I slipped the envelope into my jacket. No one asked what it was. No one asked if I was okay. On my way out, Jenna called after me, sing-song. "Think about the loan, Ev. It's not even that much." I paused at the door. "You think that because it isn't your name on it?" She rolled her eyes. "God, you're dramatic." I drove home with the windows cracked, November air biting, the envelope burning a silent hole in my pocket. I didn't open it. Not yet. I sat in the parking lot, keys in my hand, realizing a new fact. You can love a family and still refuse to be the bank. That night, I put the envelope on my kitchen table next to a chipped mug and the bills I'd already budgeted for. I washed 2 dishes. I fed my plant. I stared at the ceiling. When I finally slid a thumb under the flap, the paper inside felt old and careful, like something saved for a long time. I didn't become the responsible one because I'm special. I became it because someone had to be the brake pedal. Jenna is 26. Charming, quick, and always one story away from a fresh start. College, then a gap year, then a second major, then a certificate that was definitely going to change everything. Retail job, then a boutique job, then an Etsy shop, then consulting. Somehow all of that required nicer phones, seasonal trips, and last-minute emergencies that hit the exact day her rent was due. "Spot me just this once," she'd text. "I'll Venmo you Friday." Friday never came. The Venmo requests sat like museum pieces under a thin layer of dust. When I was 24, Dad called. "We're proud of you, son, and we need a favor." Their furnace died. I put $2,200 on my credit card and set up a payment plan nobody honored. The next spring, I covered Jenna's last 2 classes so she could graduate on time, $980. The next fall, I co-signed her lease because landlords are unfair. 2 months in, she forgot to pay. I paid to protect my credit. If I said no, I was cold. If I said yes, I was so generous. Until the next ask. The family group chat, FamJam, was a running ad for expectations. Mom, dinner at 6. Evan, bring your laptop to fix the printer. Dad, Evan, you know about insurance stuff. What's the cheapest? Jenna, hey big bro, can you add me back to your phone plan? My provider is trash. When I asked for help, once, after my car threw a code, silence. Then a sticker, a cartoon thumbs up. The rule was simple. Evan's time and money are communal property. Evan's boundaries are offense. It's not like I never messed up. I had my broke months. I ate beans and rice and said next paycheck to myself like a spell. But it was my mess, my fix. I didn't outsource the consequences. So when Jenna asked me to co-sign a $26,000 car note because the rate is amazing and it'll help my credit, duh, I said no. Not because I'm cruel, but because I'm awake. Her debt would become my debt the first time she ghosted a statement. The salesperson's pin had hovered. Jenna went glassy-eyed angry, the kind that looks like tears until you see there's no water. She grabbed Mom's arm on the way out of the dealership. He just likes power. He wants to hold it over me. Mom's mouth tightened. We'll discuss this at home. We did. And then they dangled Thanksgiving like a carrot with a lock on it. It would be easy to say adoption was the real grenade. It wasn't. It was a sparkler wave too close to my face. The explosion had been building for years in my email receipts. I opened Grandpa's envelope at midnight with a bad feeling and a good cup of tea. Inside, 3 things. A black and white baby photo of me with a note on the back in Grandma's blocky handwriting. Evan, brought to us on purpose. A photocopy of an adoption decree with my tiny footprint stamped at the bottom. And a folded letter in Grandpa's careful print. Kiddo, if you're reading this, someone used the word adopted to hurt you. They're wrong. We chose you like a door we walked through with our eyes open. If your folks forget that, that's on them. Practical matters. There's a small CD at First Pioneer Bank in your name. Started when you were 3. It's not the lottery, but it's real. I promised your grandma I'd tell you at the right time. She said, the right time is when he needs proof he isn't crazy. The name of the banker is on the back. He's decent. Use it for you. Not for anyone's emergency that pops up the same day as nails, lashes, or football tickets. Love. G. On the back, a name and a phone number in Grandpa's steady pen. The pressure points in my chest eased. Not because of the money. I had no idea how much was in there. But because of the sentence. Use it for you. The next morning, Mom left me a voicemail. We love you, but I have to protect Jenna from your hostility. She's the baby, Evan. 10 minutes later, a text in FamJam from Dad. Remember, Evan owes Jenna an apology before Turkey. We vote on these things. Nobody had voted. They just universally agreed my boundary was rude. Aunt Maggie chimed in with a heart emoji for no reason. Uncle Rich added, let's keep it positive. Jenna sent a meme, a turkey holding a sign that said, no jerks allowed. I typed and deleted 15 responses. Then I put my phone face down and called First Pioneer. The banker picked up on the second ring. This is Dale. I told him my name. He hesitated like he recognized it. George's grandson, he said, warmth in his voice. Been a while since I heard his laugh. We set an appointment for Thursday morning. He asked me to bring ID. I looked at the adoption decree on my table. Proof, not of where I came from, but of who stood up for me. Wednesday, Jenna posted a selfie test driving the crossover. Tell me I don't look like this car, and I dare you to be wrong. The caption read. 2 cousins replied with fire emojis. Mom commented, manifesting. Above it, Dad had posted a screenshot of his calendar. Thanksgiving -1. Don't be late. He'd tagged everyone but me. I didn't reply. I froze my credit. I pulled my phone line off Jenna's device quietly. I started a list titled Things I Pay for That Aren't Mine, and it was longer than I let myself imagine. Streaming passwords, a cloud storage plan Jenna used for her shop, a Prime account my old gym membership Dad had never canceled and was still borrowing, the family Spotify that was never paid back. I read Grandpa's letter twice more. I slept better than I had in months. Thursday morning, at the bank, Dale slid a folder across the desk. George visited every year on your birthday, he said. He never missed. He called it your no-guilt fund. The number on the statement wasn't huge, but it was not nothing. Enough for first and last month's rent if I moved. Enough for therapy. Enough to fix my car. Enough to start a home down payment later if I guarded it. Dale looked at me. He told me once, if they ever try to make the boy feel like he's a burden, tell him I did the math. He's the ledger in the black. I swallowed hard. He really said that? Twice, Dale said, a small smile. You want to talk disbursement options? I nodded. Not for them, I said. For me. My phone vibrated. FamJam lit up. Mom. Reminder. Evan, come early to set up tables. Dad. If you're mature, you'll show your face. Jenna. Bring your checkbook. Kidding. Not really. I realized I wasn't tired of giving. I was tired of giving to people who called my yes a duty and my no a sin. I put my phone back in my pocket and told Dale, I think I'm done being the communal resource. He nodded like he'd been waiting for me to catch up to something he already knew. Thanksgiving morning, 10:12 a.m. The family group chat pinged like a slot machine. Photos of pie. A countdown gif. A reminder from Dad. Grace before we eat. No phones at the table. The irony made me laugh in my empty kitchen. I packed a simple bag, Grandpa's letter, a printout of every transfer I'd made in the last 5 years, 3 screenshots of Jenna promising Friday for sure, the lease I'd co-signed, a bank alert from the month she accidentally put a utility in my name, and a fresh copy of the adoption decree. I didn't plan to fight. I planned to finish. At 12:43 p.m., I parked behind the minivan with the Proud of My Honor Student sticker, Jenna's, ironically. Wind in the maples. A football again on TV, muted again. Inside, the table was set like a magazine spread. China we only used to impress other people. The turkey steamed. Family swirled. Jenna saw me first. Oh, look who decided to show up before apologizing. I set my bag by the chair. I brought paperwork. Mom's smile was tight. Evan, don't make a scene. I'm not making one, I said. I'm ending one. Dad stood at the head of the table. Before we sit, he announced, Evan has something to say. He gestured like a ringmaster. I do, I said. I'm not co-signing. Not now, not ever. I'm taking my name off anything it doesn't belong on. Effective today, I'm done paying for things I don't use, didn't sign for, and wasn't asked about. Jenna snorted. You rehearsed that? Yes, I said. In my car. Aunt Maggie tried a soft voice. Honey, maybe we can talk later. No, I said. We always do it later, then never. We do it now. I pulled out the stack of pages and laid them on the table like cards. These are the transfers. Heat in January 2018, $2,200. Jenna's tuition, $980. Jenna's deposit, $1,100. The emergency dentist bill, $340. Endless, small drips that somehow never flowed back. These are the texts where you said you'd pay me Friday, and you didn't. This is the lease I co-signed to help, where I ended up the only one who paid. This, I tapped another page, is an alert from the power company addressed to me for a house I do not live in. Dad's face flushed. We don't air this during a holiday. We air it when the public shaming started during a holiday, I said. You banned me from Thanksgiving if I didn't apologize for not putting my signature on $26,000 of someone else's debt. Jenna folded her arms. It's not someone else's. It's mine. That's different. That sentence is a riddle, I said. And I'm not solving it for you. Mom's voice sharpened. Language, Evan. I slid the adoption decree across to Dad. And this? If you weaponize this again, that's the last time I see you for a while. Jenna rolled her eyes. God, we were trying to be honest. No, I said. You were trying to make me feel like a guest in my own life. Grandpa beat you to it. He told me first, without malice, without strings. He gave me this. I held up the letter. He said I was chosen on purpose, and he put aside a little money he called my no-guilt fund. I'm not asking for yours. I'm telling you I have mine. Dad laughed, ugly. Oh, please. Your grandpa barely. Careful, I said quietly. Say one bad word about him, and I'll leave. He's the only person in this room who hasn't asked me for a single dollar. Silence. The game on TV showed a player in the end zone, arms raised. The muted crowd roared. Jenna went for the jugular she always used. You're selfish. I nodded. Yep. With my credit score, my signature, my time. I'm done sharing those with people who call it love until I say no. Mom set down her napkin like she was placing a delicate bomb. Are you really going to ruin today? I picked up my bag. No. I'm going to ruin your system. I put the last page on the table. An email from the dealership confirming a loan application had been submitted with my name listed as pre-approved co-applicant. The timestamp was 2 hours after I'd said no. I looked at Jenna. Did you use my information without my permission? Her cheeks blotched. It was a pre-check. Everyone does it. The guy said it was fine. That guy's commission won't pay my bill when you stop, I said. Here's what's going to happen. I've placed a fraud alert on my credit. Any new application you run will ping me and die. I've removed you from my phone line. The streaming services you use that I pay for will log you out at midnight. If I see my name on any account I didn't sign, I file a police report. I hope I never have to, but I will. Dad slammed his palm on the table. Silverware jumped. You ungrateful. Grandpa's voice, thin but clear, came from the doorway. Sit down, Tom. Everyone turned. He stood in his cardigan, hand on the frame, eyes clear. George, this is family business, Dad started. Grandpa shook his head. Exactly why he's saying it here. You taught him to be the safety net, and then got mad when he stopped letting you jump. He looked at me and nodded once. That same punctuation as the envelope. Eat or go, kid, he said. Either way, be done with it. I tucked Grandpa's letter back into my bag. I'm going, I said. I'll see you when you can talk to me without drafts of bills in your hands. Jenna scowled. Don't expect rides when your little Corolla dies. I won't, I said. I'll expect Uber. I left before anyone could say, we can talk about this later. Because later was where my boundaries went to disappear. You know that quiet you hear after a loud room goes still? That followed me into the parking lot, into my car, into the first deep breath I'd taken in months. At 3:07 p.m., my phone shook itself awake. 38 texts. Mom, you made a fool of us. Dad, act like a man. Jenna, so you're actually locking me out of Spotify on a holiday? Aunt Maggie, love you both. Let's calm down. Uncle Rich, buddy, no need to be dramatic. I didn't reply. I drove to the river and watched late leaves spin in the eddies and tried to understand how relief could sit next to grief without either moving over. At 6:22 p.m., Grandpa called. Come by, he said. Pi left. I brought him coffee. He brought out a small fireproof box. Inside were more of Grandma's solid little truths, photos, a recipe card in her loopy hand, and a safety deposit key with a scrap of paper taped to it, for when he learns to say no. Grandpa pressed it into my palm. You did good, he said. I feel like I dropped a plate that was really just a mirror, I said. Loud, but nothing broke that wasn't already cracked. He chuckled. You talk pretty for a boy who used to eat paste. We didn't talk about adoption beyond a few quiet sentences that I will keep. We chose you, he said. Not like a dog at the shelter. Like a door we walked through and closed behind us on purpose. The next week was paperwork, the kind that isn't cinematic but changes everything. I met with Dale again and moved the CD into a high-yield savings with my name and only my name. I printed letters to the credit bureaus with my fraud alert case number. I called the dealership manager and forwarded the email with my name on the pre-approved line. He apologized 5 times and promised retraining. I wrote the date and time in a notebook anyway, because apologies without paper are balloons with tiny leaks. I unsubscribed Jenna's email from my Amazon. She fired off a text. Wow, petty. I had a cart going. I typed back. You can push it to checkout with your card, then put my phone away before I had to watch the 3 dots blink threats. Mom left a voicemail that started soft and went sharp. Evan, you're hurting Jenna's mental health. She can't sleep. She's using Dad's Netflix, which is honestly fine. So can you at least. Delete. Dad sent a single line. You are not my son if you treat us like strangers. I saved that one, not to reread, but to remember exactly what not to respond to. Work got quieter the way a house does when a refrigerator stops humming. A background noise you didn't realize had been constant. I had extra hours where anxiety usually sat. I filled them. I went to the gym I actually pay for. I booked a therapy appointment and didn't cancel it. I cooked food that wasn't a panic dinner. I slept. 2 cousins slid into my DMs like outlaws offering a campfire. Saw what happened in Fam Jam, one wrote. You're not wrong. The other. They tried to make me co-sign 2 years ago. Said no. Haven't been invited to Christmas since. Want to split a Friendsgiving? We did. We brought store pies and forgiveness, and not one of us used the phrase, keeping the peace. Consequences rolled through the family, like weather where I wasn't standing in the rain this time. Jenna's dealership deal died on the vine without my name attached. She went on Instagram Live half crying, half scoffing about haters who don't believe in me. A friend DM'd me a clip. I didn't watch it. The next day, Jenna texted, You're literally going to make me Uber to work? I said yes. Budget for it. She sent back a skull emoji and nothing else for 48 hours. It was the quietest 2 days I've had with my sister since 2004. Mom tried a new angle. If you're pulling your support, she texted, we need to talk about Dad's back therapy bill. I stared at the screen a long time. Then I wrote back. I didn't pull support. I ended enabling. If you want help, ask. Not for my signature, for my advice. If you want money, expect a no unless I offer. She called me cruel. I wrote. Boundary, not cruelty. She left me on read for the first time since smartphones were invented. The family myth cracked. That love equals financial compliance. That sacrifice equals silence. It was small at first, a hairline fissure you can miss unless you're looking. Then the pieces started to shift. Aunt Maggie texted me privately. Your grandpa is coming to stay with me a few days. He needs quiet. Translation, Mom and Dad were noisier than they thought. A week later, Grandpa and I sat on his porch with mismatched blankets. He handed me a folded clipping, an old column he'd kept. Sometimes the most generous thing a person can say is no, because it leaves generosity intact for where it belongs. He tapped the paper. That lady was right. I miss them, I said. Even while I don't miss them. That's how missing works, he said. True thing. People can be your family and your problem. Second true thing. You get to choose what you solve first. 2 Fridays after Thanksgiving, a letter arrived addressed in Mom's hand. Inside, a bill from Jenna's old apartment. The last month she skipped back when we thought it'd get worked out. A sticky note on it. Could you just take care of this so we can move forward? Something in me used to flinch and reach at the same time. This time I folded the bill back into the envelope with Grandpa's steady patience and wrote a short reply on the sticky. No. Moving forward is you handling this. I dropped it in the mailbox. I did not add a heart. Sunday afternoon, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. Hi, I'm Dale's wife. He doesn't usually share client things, but I had to say, your grandpa talked about you like the sun. I sat on my couch and let that land. It hit deeper than any apology I didn't get. There were small payoffs I didn't expect. The friend I kept canceling on because of family things. We grabbed coffee and didn't mention my mother once. The anxiety headache that lived behind my eyes like a roommate moved out. My apartment looked bigger without the clutter of borrowed guilt. It wasn't perfect. I still woke up some nights rehearsing arguments I would never have. I still wanted to send a baby photo to the group chat with brought to us on purpose, scrawled across it, and dare anyone to disrespect the 2 people who loved me the longest without conditions. I didn't. Sometimes power is choosing not to send the message you know would land. Then a text buzzed from Jenna at 11:34 p.m. Can I be honest? It read. Try it, I typed. I didn't tell you about the adoption to hurt you, she wrote. I thought maybe you'd feel obligated. Thank you for telling the truth, I wrote back. That is exactly what hurting is. 3 dots. Then, fine. I'm sorry. I should have asked for help, not demanded it. It wasn't an apology for the loan, for the dealership, for the pre-approval, for the years of casual theft of my time. But it was the first straight line she'd sent me in a decade without a hook hidden in the punctuation. Thanks, I said. Here's the deal going forward. Ask. Here no. Survive no. Build your own yes. She sent a single word I didn't expect. Okay. Then, will you teach me how to budget? I stared at the screen. The part of me that wanted to fix opened its eyes and sighed, old habit itching. I did not shut the door in Jenna's face. I put my hand on the doorknob and said, I can show you what I do. I won't do it for you. Deal, she wrote. It wasn't reconciliation. It was step 0. But that's where most good things start. 3 weeks after Thanksgiving, I met Dale in a quiet corner at the bank to sign one last form. He slid a sticky note toward me with a doodle of a little ladder. George said you'd need one, he said, to climb out of whatever hole anyone tried to put you in. I laughed. It didn't sound bitter anymore. On the way home, I stopped at Grandpa's. He was dozing in his chair with a blanket over his knees. I set a framed copy of Grandma's note, brought to us on purpose, on his bookshelf and texted Aunt Maggie, installed, front and center. At home, I wrote a message that wasn't for the group chat, or a lawyer, or a dealer, or a banker. It was for me. I typed it into the Notes app and pinned it. I'm not a villain for saying no. I'm not a hero for saying yes. I'm a person with a life that costs time and money I'm allowed to keep. Later that night, an email landed from my manager. I've been impressed with your focus lately. Want to lead a project next quarter? I smiled. Boundaries don't just protect money. They hand you your attention back. Jenna sent me a screenshot of a budget spreadsheet with little green boxes where she'd met her targets for the week. It's tiny, she wrote, but it's mine. I sent a thumbs up, not the sarcastic kind our dad liked to use. The genuine, small yes. Mom hasn't apologized. Dad hasn't either. Maybe they never will. Maybe the story they tell in their kitchen is that I changed. In a way, they're right. I did. I stopped equating love with access to my wallet, my password, my peace. Grandpa and I ate leftover pie on a Tuesday and watched a game with the sound on. When the team missed a catch they never had, he said, "Can't lose what wasn't yours." He looked over at me with that tiny grin. Same goes for guilt. I keep the envelope on my desk. Not because of the money. Because of the sentence inside that saved me. Use it for you. If you need a moral, here it is, plain, I won't be used. Not by fear of being left out of a holiday. Not by a sentence about blood and debt. Not by a surprise said like a knife. I'll show up when there's kindness and truth on the table. I'll leave when there's a bill with my name on it that I didn't make. I'm adopted. I'm chosen. Both things can be true at the exact same time I say no. And this part matters most. The world didn't end when I drew a line. It got quiet. Then it got better.